What's happening, people? Stamford Bridge awaits. Here's a tactical breakdown on how Fulham beat the filth.
He couldn't pull it down. In a moto!
First off, let's look into how Muesca's side likes to play. Muesca's side sort of deploy a box midfield with Gusto coming inside and Mark Cucurella forming a back three in central defence. Muesca is characterised, all of his teams, his Leicester teams, his Manchester City youth teams, now his Chelsea teams are characterised by his inverted fullbacks. Chelsea are no different. Chelsea's right back forms a pivot inside with Moises Caicedo, whilst Enzo Fernandez and what will most likely be tomorrow, João Pedro, if in the absence of Cole Palmer, form a number 10 duo in Chelsea's midfield. Mark Cucurella on the other side of Chelsea's defence forms a back three in possession. This box midfield setup is sort of designed to sort of give Chelsea that plethora of attacking options that can sort of stretch a defence, deploying two high wingers, to stretch that defence with that box midfield coming in handy to sort of really exploit those half spaces that plethora of options and plethora of attacking space that is created by two high penning wingers out wide. How do Fulham counteract this? Well, simply, you've got to be compact. You've got to keep it tight in midfield, keep it rigid, and start at back five. Sit deep, deploy a low block. Last Boxing Day, Marco Silva and Fulham completely mastered this. Fulham really did force Chelsea sort of into these unwanted wide scenarios that just forced Muesca's men to cross the ball into a Chelsea attack that had no real focal point, with Nicholas Jackson starting up top. We utilised our sheer defensive numbers really to not allow Jadon Sancho or Pedro Neto to isolate Kenny Tete or Anthony Robinson out wide. So a perfect example of this, the final stages of our game last Boxing Day at the Bridge. Fulham was sort of the first side to sort of pinpoint this weakness in Chelsea's game. That's a credit to Marco Silva. The player that will most likely make or break this West London derby is Liam Delap. I talked about there Chelsea having no real aerial threat line attack, and Fulham forcing Chelsea into crosses would be nothing but a good thing. And while I still think that should be Fulham's game plan, the reason why Liam Delap was brought to South West 6 this summer, to the wrong side of South West 6 of course, was to sort of counteract the very blueprint that Marco Silva laid out. Delap's 6'4" presence and fantastic movement within the box does give Chelsea that necessary focal point to, cause Fulham some damage in the air. Fulham, for me, that's just about a lighter game plan, but I would deploy 3 physical centre backs to sort of counteract Delap's 6'4" presence within the box. If you can keep Delap at bay, you probably keep Chelsea at bay for me. Delap, he's key to Fulham's victory. Let's shut him down. Listen, that's enough on how Fulham defend their South West 6 territory. How do we go and beat these tossers? Well, as I said, the very way that Chelsea go and try to exploit teams by deploying a box midfield that leaves plenty of avenues of attack for Fulham going forward. Pushing both wing-backs centrally poses major problems so that Fulham can exploit that very narrow nature going forward with fast, concise attacks in wide areas. Keep the midfield rigid at play that wide outlet ball at speed. Play into the channels. Play off Muniz. Go and target Mark Cucurella in the air. Speaking of wide talent, like in a game like this, where Marco Silva's game plan is likely built on Fulham's wide threat, it'll be quite good to have maybe 2 more wide wingers who will go and look to push to the byline, be tricky, make something happen out wide for Marco Silva's men. Wouldn't that be great if we were bringing in 2 players of that profile? Oh wait, we are. But once again for Fulham, it's too late. Thanks, Tony Khan. Fulham don't have 2 major assets in the biggest game of their season. Why is that? Well, Tony Khan, you can answer that one. My lineup, as you can see, listen, I don't think that all the selections have to be dealt with, but listen, the 5-4-1 gives Fulham that compactness that I've talked about throughout the whole video. Kenny Tete loses a spot sort of in that back three that we saw against Man United. He pushes up to fullback. Diop, Cuenca and Joachim Anderson give Fulham plenty of physical prowess to compete with Liam Delap at striker. Calvin Bassey does the exact same, but also gives Fulham that flexibility to go and give, that wide support through our wide numbers with Calvin's marauding runs that we saw the beginnings of at Stamford Bridge last season. While Sander Berger and Sasa Lukic make up a familiar midfield duo, I think that Harrison Reed really impressed me midweek, and I think that Harrison, as Fulham's lone six, as Fulham haven't addressed that position, as I've been banging on about for months, I think Harrison does deserve some side minutes in the Fulham shirt, and I think that he should, at the very least, get a sub-inclusion. I think that Fulham will need some midfield legs, especially Pack's Chelsea midfield. I think Harrison, as our only real proper out-and-out number 6, is a perfect candidate to be that, especially off the bench. Out wide, Ryan Sessegnon starts out wide. Ryan doesn't only just lend defensive help to Calvin Bassey at fullback. Sessegnon as well has the ability to go and drive to the line and spear Fulham forward single-handedly if Fulham need him to be. And say there was a chance to fall to anybody like in this Fulham team, there aren't many people that I trust to be more clinical than Ryan. We have seen with many of his finishes that he can be that man to score that crucial goal for Fulham, and I think that could be his chance here. For me, he starts on the left. On the other side of the wing, for me, say Harry Wilson was fit, it would be H, but the rumour is that he might not be fit for the game, which is a massive loss for Fulham. So I would start Josh King on the right wing, and while that might be a surprise to some, most see him as a number 10 or number 8. Don't forget that Josh has come on for Fulham before to the left wing at West Ham away, and that was the great success as well. I think that Josh doesn't only lend himself to go and help like in a hotly contested central battle in the midfield. Josh has the ability to go and with a single diminutive trademark Josh King 10 to spark an attack, spark a transition by himself, and go and spear himself down that right wing at great speed, light on a stronger foot. So I think Josh can more than deputise for Harry Wilson for that right wing position. Striker, who do you think it is? I mean, listen, Rodrigo Muniz could be 110 years old, and I still trust him to go and start on Fulham Broadway. Raul Jimenez was fantastic midweek, but I think that even Raul will understand why Fulham would be starting Rodrigo in this fixture. He scored at Brighton. He looked alright once he came on Wednesday. Let's keep that confidence going. Let's prove to everybody, Rodrigo, that you fucking hate Chelsea as much as I do. Listen, a message to the players. I know that you're not fucking watching, but if you are by some miracle, hello, listen, you all know with the celebrations last year that if you score a winner against Leicester, you are eternalised like into Fulham folklore. And listen, I'll say this. Say that you don't come away with 3 points, a point, whatever. Do one thing for me. At least end Tosin Ajibayo's career. Just chop him in half. Seriously, the guy's an absolute tosser. Chop him in half. Say that we don't come out with a win, but Tosin ends his career. Listen, it could be worse, couldn't it? But listen, fellas, that's all from me. I hope you have some modicum have learnt something. And listen, I'll see you all out at Dole Arms. And remember, there's only one team in Fulham.